Well, good afternoon. Welcome to your 4 to 5. I'm Maddie Gardner here with Eric Tilton and Tahasia Moist this afternoon. We are here to inform you, make you feel connected, and let you into our world. Use our hashtag 4 to 5 to stay connected.
Guilford County students will start school with remote learning for the first 9 weeks of the year. Now, the Board of Education voted that decision in 6-3 yesterday.
Yes, but once those 9 weeks are up, the district is considering 4 different options for reopening school buildings. Let's break those down for you. In scenario 1, high school students would learn remotely 5 days a week, while all other grades would be in class full time. Scenario 2 would mean that half of students would attend school on Monday and Tuesday. The other half would go Thursdays and Fridays, and Wednesday would be a teacher planning day and also a day for deep cleaning.
In scenario 3, K through 5 students will be in school full time and 6th through 12th grades will be in school 50% of the time, alternating weeks. Friday will be a teacher planning and deep cleaning day. Now, scenario 4 is like this. K through 5 students will be in school full time. 6th through 8th will go to school Monday through Thursday in the morning for 4 hours, and 9 through 12 will go to school Monday through Thursday for 3 hours a day in the morning. Friday will be a teacher planning and a deep cleaning day. Brian Bennett joins us now. Brian, how are parents reacting to this decision?
Just a lot of comments, a lot of opinions. Some people agree, some people disagree. So without any further ado, let's jump right in. We're going to start with Veronica. She says, more work for me, but yes, it's a great idea. Keeps the kids safe, slows the speed too. Kristen says, I don't agree with any school doing remote schooling. A lot of children don't have computers. What are they supposed to do? Krista says, I do agree with it. I'm seeing every day how this virus is affecting people of all ages. It's going to be tough, though. Don't get me wrong. I'm dreading it, but I know it's for the best. Yolanda says this is just puts pressure on childcare centers. Having 15 to 20 kids that go to different schools trying to log in is going to be a bit overwhelming. And lastly, Wanda says, yes, I agree. Safety first. So the parents have spoken. I think Guilford County Schools is trying to put safety first. But again, in these type of scenarios and situations, it's kind of hard to please everybody. But hopefully they can come out with something that, can work and keep the kids safe at the end of the day.
Yes, a lot to think about, Brian. Thank you. If you still have questions about those scenarios, about the first 9 weeks being remote for Guilford County Schools, be sure to stick around because we're going to talk with county school leaders on WFMY News 2 at 5:30. All you have to do is text your questions to 336-379-5775 and we'll get you an answer. Well, we are less than a month away from the start of college classes, but the coronavirus, it has certainly changed what the school year will look like. Move-in has already started at UNC Greensboro. WFMI News 2's Denise McMiller spoke with students today about how it feels to be on campus during the pandemic.
Well, the students I spoke with are concerned but excited at the same time. They say they're ready to adapt to all the changes on campus. The university went from moving large groups of students in over a couple of days to dragging that out over the course of 2 weeks. Only a student or two moved into a residence hall at any given time. Parents and students wore masked, and there were hand sanitation stations in limited capacity in common areas. College sophomore Adrienne Locke says she hopes her role as a residential aide will help other students adapt.
I also wanted to try to make masks or do something like that in a way to make people feel more comfortable around the hall and around campus, as well as come to me with any concerns that they might have about the pandemic or anything like that. So I just want to make sure people feel respected and comfortable, especially with everything that's been happening around the world recently.
And UNCG says they are in constant contact with Guilford County Public Health and are ready to make changes to keep students safe. And about 1,100 students have already moved in on UNCG's campus, and another 700 will move in this coming Saturday at different time slots.
Hi, Denise, thank you. In the meantime, Wake Forest University is requiring underclassmen to take a coronavirus and isolate before stepping onto campus. Now, before students are able to return to school, they have to complete a pre-arrival testing application through through the Azova Health Portal. Now, that test will cost $129 and could be covered by insurance. Some students could also be eligible for financial aid for that test. On top of a coronavirus test, students must also self-quarantine for 14 days and register on the Sneeze Safe website for daily symptom checks. Now, these checks also apply to international students.
Well, it is official. The North Carolina State Fair now canceled because of coronavirus. Now, fair officials say there was no safe way, really, to have the fair, which, by the way, was scheduled for October 15th through the 25th. So the state fair typically cost about $6 million to put together. Nearly 200 events related to the fair have now been canceled. It's estimated that the area has seen a $2 million loss in revenue just since February of this year. Organizers are considering year-round events that will be safe under the CDC guidelines. We've also learned that the Central Carolina Fair has been canceled because of the pandemic as well. The fair was scheduled for September 11th through the 20th. It would have been at the Greensboro Coliseum complex. The fair is now scheduled to return next year on September 10th.
Movie theaters are on the list of businesses still closed under our state's Phase 2 Safer at Home order, and that is detrimental to the businesses who are missing the busy blockbuster season. The National Association of Theater Owners says cinemas have lost 93% of their box office compared to the same time last year. A local spot in Winston-Salem, though, is holding out hope that they'll be able to reopen after the credits roll on the pandemic. Like the ending of a movie, this year has been full of surprises for Aperture Cinema.
We celebrate our 10th anniversary in January. We were so optimistic for this year, having just gone through the Business 40 closure, which, impacted our sales. And so 2020 was going to be this, growth and rebuilding year. And I feel personally I'm back to square one when I started working on Aperture, and I'm going to have to rebuild it from the very beginning.
Lauren Desai opened the Art House Cinema in 2009, and it's stayed open almost every day since.
We never close. We are open every single day of the year. Holidays, even we've maybe closed less than a handful of times for snow, but we've never been closed this long.
On March 13th, the last films flickered off the cinema's screens. Desai says they're already down almost $200,000 from last year. They had to furlough their employees. It's been 20 weeks since Aperture sold a movie ticket or a bag of popcorn.
70% of our revenue comes from ticket sales, concessions, memberships. And so when we're not open, that, there's not a lot of revenue coming in, and we just can't afford to keep people on staff.
Even if Governor Cooper says theaters can reopen next week, Desai says the safety of the community comes first, and it doesn't help their bottom line to open without a sold-out show.
And it's very challenging to open with not being able to sell and fill all your seats. So there's lots of things to consider beyond just whether Governor Cooper says it's okay.
Instead, they're showing movies online. Aperture made 20 films available on their virtual cinema, and they get a portion of each ticket sold. The cinema is holding out hope that the community they closed to protect will help them make it until they can reopen.
I think just keeping in the back of your mind that one day we'll be able to open and it'll be safe, and we want people to come back and just remember how, the cinema is such an important part of our lives.
And you may have noticed that Aperture closed on March 13th. That's 2 weeks before Governor Cooper ordered the statewide shutdown. Desai says they wanted to make sure they were putting public health first.
Vice President Mike Pence was in Raleigh today visiting Thales Academy in Wake County with Education Secretary Betsy DeVos and Biotech in Raleigh. Now, according to the CBS affiliate in Raleigh, the academy reopened last week, then closed down days later when a case of coronavirus was discovered. Vice President Pence also participated in a roundtable conversation about the school's plans to safely reopen. He then toured a North Carolina biotech company where the company is developing a coronavirus vaccine.
Let's turn now to your 4 to 5 roundup. German police are looking into the disappearance of British girl Madeline Mccann. She disappeared on vacation with her parents in Portugal back in 2007. You'll remember she was just 3 years old. German authorities said last month they identified a 43-year-old German citizen as a suspect in the Mccann case and are now investigating him on suspicion of murder. Authorities were seen today searching a garden plot in the German city of Hanover. No word yet on if they found anything. The body of late Congressman John Lewis is back in Atlanta today. His casket was carried out of the U.S. Capitol in a special ceremony. The civil rights icon will now lie in state at the Georgia State Capitol, giving those in Atlanta a chance to pay their final respects. On Thursday, his journey will conclude at his final resting place. One last celebration of his life will happen tomorrow morning at the historic Ebenezer Baptist Church. Well, Wake Forest Baptist Health's birthing center turns 1 year old today. More than 2,500 babies from more than 20 counties, including more than 70 sets of twins and triplets, have been delivered at the facility. And little Esperanza was the first baby to be delivered at the birthing center. She is also celebrating her first birthday. The two-floor center gives expectant mothers a new option for the care and birth of their babies. Mothers who give birth there also have immediate access to specialists in the Cecil NICU just steps away.
Well, we look at the temperatures out there today. This is a little more tolerable, right? I mean, it's still hot, but not as hot as it has been. 88 degrees in Greensboro, 93 rather in Burlington, 87 Winston-Salem. Now, the reason you're seeing big temperature discrepancies is because some folks have had a little bit of rain, some haven't. It's been widely scattered across the area, so that will drop you dramatically in temperature if you get a little shower. We all know how that works. 72, the overnight low tonight, partly cloudy. We'll see those evening storms. They are widely scattered out there. 89 tomorrow. That's more like our normal high is around 88, 87, thereabouts. So we're just about on the money. Mix of sun and clouds tomorrow, but rain chances are up, we think, for Thursday and Friday before going back to normal and staying there for a good long while in our 7-day forecast. Most of the rain that you see now, it's isolated to the northwest and then some to the south. So southern parts of Montgomery County seeing a shower and thunderstorms. Same story too as you head over to Iredell County. I think Moxville and Davie County, you're pretty much next in line for this. So again, rain chances going on the increase as we head into the next couple of days. We'll show you our 7-day forecast with temperatures coming up in just a bit.
completed the 50-yard challenge. Here's a reason to smile today. A Mebane 14-year-old just completed the 50-yard challenge, meaning he mowed 50 yards in his community for free. I spoke with the teen and his mother about why he got involved and their challenge for us all. When we first introduced you to 14-year-old Richard Hurst last summer, he was just getting started. He had signed up to do the 50-yard challenge through Raising Men Lawn Care Service. The idea is to have kids ages 7 to 17 give back to the community by mowing lawns free of charge.
Anybody in the community that needed help. Veterans, single moms, disabled, and elderly.
Mowing lawns in the dead of summer isn't how a typical teenager spends their time, but Richard says he was happy to do it.
Inspiring to me. I liked to do it because it was a good thing I was doing in a bad time in the world.
Any kid who does the challenge gets a new t-shirt for every 10 lawns mowed. The coveted black shirt means challenge complete.
I was just happy that I finished it.
Just 1 day shy of a year after he started, Richard finished the challenge on July 25th.
It's been awesome to watch him grow throughout the process, and just the community of Mebane and Alamance County as a whole and how they rallied behind him.
Challenge founder Rodney Smith Jr. drives out from Alabama to personally meet each kid who finishes, and he doesn't come empty-handed.
He brought me a lawnmower, a weed eater, and a blower.
Richard's mother, Mary Ann, says Smith Jr. is helping kids get through tough times in the best way.
There's just something to be said about somebody who dedicates all of his time to helping make our youth better and to help make the world a better place.
She says it doesn't take much to get started and challenges other families to get involved.
I would just encourage parents to look into it, talk to their kid about it. If your kid shows interest, then back them on it and support them, encourage them, and be their biggest cheerleader.
So 50 yards was just the start for Richard. He says he plans to continue mowing lawns for those in the community, but he's also going to transition into creating a business as a way to save money and purchase a truck so that he can carry his lawn equipment all on his own. If you have a child that maybe wants to do the 50-yard challenge, I've explained how to do it on our website. More of the 4 to 5 when we come back.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5. Holocaust survivors are campaigning to remove conspiracy theories from Facebook. The survivors are using the hashtag #NoDenyingIt to post one video a day asking Mark Zuckerberg to remove Holocaust-denying groups, pages, and posts. Those videos are also going on Instagram and Twitter. Now, the group first expressed outrage back in 2018 after Zuckerberg claimed those posts would not be removed. Back then, he said he did not think people were intentionally getting historic facts wrong. And as long as the posts did not call for harm or violence, they were all right on the site.
Now, on the other hand, both Facebook and Twitter removed a video of doctors making claims about coronavirus and a cure. So my question to you today is, what role should social media companies play in relation to stopping the spread of misinformation? We got a lot of insightful answers on my page today, but we only have time for a few, so let's dig right in. Greg Adams says, in part, social media platforms are under no obligation to allow it. Ultimately, it's not a free speech or censorship issue because Facebook and other private companies are allowed to set the parameters of their platform. He goes on to say, in fact, we as users signed a legal contract giving them the right to choose what content they allow or not. Don't like it? Start your own social media platform. Babo Bedrich writes here, a lot of fact-checking should be done before information is released. And David Jimenez says, given that within the medical and scientific communities there are differences of opinion as well as the country is clearly divided on this, why not allow the people to come up with their own conclusions? And, everyone's kind of making a valid point here. We are signing up on this platform, so we have to abide by their rules. Ultimately, they have the final say, right? But then what happens when misinformation is just let out there to thrive? So it's a fine balance that has to be taken here.
Right, Taisha. And our country, one of the cornerstones is free speech. But at the same time, you can't walk into a crowded theater and yell fire because it's a risk to public safety and public health. So my argument would be posting misinformation about a very dangerous virus could also be seen as a threat to public health.
I think you could almost take that into the public safety realm too, Maddie, because if people were to, get misinformation and then react a certain way, people would do things that aren't safe. It's like, oh, well, if we've got a vaccine, then forget these masks. I'm heading out. To me, that's a public safety issue as well. I do think that the social media platforms, I think that gentleman is right when he said that, when you agree to your account on Facebook or whatever the platform is, they do have the right to take some of your content down. If that's the case, then they need to do a good job of policing it, I think.
Right, and do your own research. If you're curious about a topic, if you see something that you're not so sure about, dig into it, come up with your own conclusions. I think that's a smart idea.
Absolutely.
All right, more of the 4 to 5 is coming back after this. Join our conversation on Facebook and on Twitter. All right, this is a crazy story. A Forsyth County Uber driver just received a huge bonus after a passenger tipped him $10. Well, Keith Wishen then used that $10 tip to buy a $200,000 triple play ticket, and he won the top prize. Wishen says he plans to fix up his house and invest in his retirement. After state, federal, and those taxes, he'll get more than $141,000. Congrats to him.
I'll take it. These days we'd have to buy sunscreen with that. Been too hot lately. Hey, not that bad today though, in spots. Some of you that have had a couple of showers here or there, you're mostly in the mid to upper 80s, so that's not all that bad. Looking at temperatures cooling down to the upper 80s, and that's where we should be actually this time of the year. Look at the radar. They are widely scattered, the showers we're talking about, and you can see some around Montgomery County. It's a little bit in Alamance County as well. I think there's this fairly strong line has kind of fallen apart. It was in Statesville a short time ago, moving on to the east, so we're not seeing a great deal of development with that. Now, with high pressure to our south, the winds will just continue out of that southwest. It remains muggy, and we think with that stationary front just lingering over the southeast, we remain with elevated rain chances in the late day period and just really humid and hot conditions over the next couple of days. But temperatures, they're pretty much regulating where they should be for this time of the year. 72 will be our low tonight with those evening thunderstorms. After that, we look for highs consistently in the upper 80s with elevated late day rain chances for Thursday, Friday, but back to normal 30% for the weekend.
Hello, ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie, they forever go together.
All right. Mic check 1 2 3 4. Mic check 4 to 5. Mic check 1 2 3. No.
Good afternoon and welcome back to your 4 to 5. I'm Maddie Gardner here with Eric Chilton and Tahisha Moise this afternoon. Of course, as always, we are here to inform you, make you feel connected, and let you into our world. We are live streaming right now on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Join our conversation and use our hashtag 4 to 5 to stay connected. Well, we will begin this half hour with your 4 to 5 roundup. Kohl's now joins a growing list of retailers who will be closed this Thanksgiving. The change reflects a year like no other. Kohl's says it expects more customers to shop earlier and throughout the year, given the importance of safety surrounding the pandemic. In the last 2 weeks, a handful of other major retailers said their stores would also close, including Best Buy, Target, and Walmart. Well, Mattel released a line of politically themed Barbie dolls. The group includes a political candidate, a campaign manager, a fundraiser, and voter Barbie. The company says they made the dolls, with the She Should Run. It's a nonprofit that works to increase the number of women who are running for office. The line also encourages girls to get involved in politics at a young age. It is the latest in a series of Barbie dolls that challenge traditional gender roles and come in various ethnicities and body shapes. But we are getting a rare look at photos and videos of 3 new male Indo-Chinese tigers taken in Thailand. Look at that. The footage and photos were captured by camera traps and mostly show the animals roaming around at night. This is the first time the species has been seen in this region of Thailand in 4 years. Conservationists say there are only about 3,900 wild tigers in the world, and 160 of them live in Thailand.
3 food suppliers in California were forced to close due to growing coronavirus outbreaks at their plants. S&S Foods had 58 employees test positive for the virus. Mission Foods, a popular tortilla-making company in the U.S., saw 40 positive cases. And Golden State Foods, one of the largest and longest-serving suppliers to McDonald's, had 43 positive cases.
Well, Governor Roy Cooper announced a statewide curfew on alcohol sales. Now, restaurants, breweries, wineries, and distilleries all must stop selling alcohol past 11 p.m. This goes into effect on Friday, by the way. It does not apply to grocery stores or convenience stores or other businesses that are allowed to sell alcohol for off-premises consumption. So we asked you on Facebook how you feel about this. Brian Bennett joins us now, and how are people responding? I would think they're probably a little all over the place with this one, Brian.
You guessed it, Eric. There's 2 main points. One, people are saying it's more so like about control, and other people are like, come on, let's do our part. Let's just be safe. So let's dive right on in. We're going to start with Tina, okay? She says, now do you see what's going on, people? Open your eyes. This is all about control. Don't let them do it. Betty says, good. Maybe it will also decrease driving and accidents. So she's actually for the curfew. Raymond says, so if you stay at the restaurant longer, you have a higher chance of contracting the virus, ? And laughing emoji. Rebecca says, be responsible, drink at home. And lastly, Doug, which is over a lot of these comments, he says, this virus isn't the only pandemic. Judging from the comments, ignorance still holds the #1 position in this country. It was a lot of interesting comments. A lot of them do make you think, a little bit. But I just encourage everybody to do their own research to see where they actually stand in the situation. Until then, it looks like the bar is going to be closed at 11 p.m. starting Friday, Eric.
Yeah, so I'm so old it doesn't affect me, but I could tell you that from a business standpoint, I worry about some of the establishments if they're just bars. They can't even open right now. But for restaurants, sometimes that 11 to midnight to 1 a.m. time period, they were still making really good money, and I know that's going to hurt them. I understand the safety aspects, I get it, so I'm not really arguing that, but I do worry about it from an economic standpoint.
Right, it's interesting to me. We saw various cities in North Carolina, Charlotte and Raleigh, go ahead and do this, but this Friday it becomes a statewide mandate. And Governor Cooper says that's because when people start drinking, that tends to lead to behavior that easily spreads the coronavirus. So you might forget to put your mask back on or get close to someone. So that was the reasoning behind this curfew.
Yeah, and it really threw me off guard, to be honest with you, the governor's announcement. I always try to think, okay, what is the governor going to say today? And we had reported those other cities doing that. I even asked Guilford County leaders if they plan to do something like that with the curfew, and they were like, no. But honestly, another thing that surprised me too is the fact that there are restaurants that are still open after 11. For me, traditionally, I'm thinking 9, 10 o'clock. But there are businesses out there, and that's when they are making some extra money. So it's going to be tough times out there for them. I'm sure they will just have to readjust as they've had to during this pandemic.
Now you can continue to share your thoughts with us. Just use our hashtag 4to5. Well, take a look at this story. The coronavirus pandemic, of course, is changing everything, including how we shop. A recent report from the consumer goods company Unilever says there are things we're buying more of and things we aren't buying much of anymore. This is kind of gross. Deodorant sales are down. Yeah, Dove and Axe brands say they believe those sales have dropped because of the lockdowns and social distancing. I guess people think they don't need to wear deodorant if they're not getting within 6 feet of anyone. But ice cream sales are up. Ben & Jerry's and Magnum say their sales are up nearly 30% by the second quarter. And soup sales are also up since the start of the pandemic. So I ask you about your spending habits and what you're saving and spending on during the pandemic. Let's take a look at what you had to say on my Facebook page today. Gia Webster says more charcoal, more fresh fruits and veggies, more wine, less gas, less frozen foods, less restaurant trips. Stephanie Watts, I like this. She said less Starbucks, more K-Cups. Tamara Fleming Easter said less makeup, more ice cream, but very few clothes. Lisa Bridges said ice cream and wine are up at my house since I'm still commuting to work daily. Blood banks never close. Heather Matthews said less makeup. I put on eyeliner and mascara just to look a little more alive, but other than that, I just don't see a need for it anymore since the mask covers it up and it will dirty a mask up so quickly and make it look gross. So I've saved a lot. And Sandra Tetterton said we have spent less going out to eat and getting takeout and more on groceries. Definitely more on groceries for me. I haven't bought as many clothes because I find that I tend to purchase more when I can go out and actually try things on and see them.
Now, I have an upcoming trip. I'm going to go to Denver and go hiking and things like that. So I found myself trying to buy more outdoorsy things just to prepare for that. But in terms of my everyday life, definitely more ice cream for me and more fresh fruits and vegetables. So you got to balance it out.
So my wife keeps Ben & Jerry's in business. That has gone up for sure. I will tell you where I'm saving money, and that's on gas. It is sometimes I literally will like think about when's the last time I had to fill up. I'm just not going anywhere as much as I did. So that's my biggest savings probably right there.
I'm glad you said that, Eric, because I need to fill my tank up. I have a problem with that. If you're interested, just ask Julie Luck. She'll tell you all about it.
I know that story. All right, let's talk about a forecast, and I tend to do the same thing. You just push it as long as you can. Here's what's going on with temperatures right now. It's a little bit topsy-turvy, isn't it? I mean, you see 93 in Burlington. That's just a hop, skip, and a jump down the road from Greensboro where it's 88. So some of you are getting a little shower here or there. That's keeping you much cooler than, say, a neighbor in the next county. Regionally, temperatures are pretty similar. 91 in Richmond, 88, Columbia, 91, Charleston, all across the Southeast and some of the mid-Atlantic states. We're all within reason of each other. Satellite and radar, you got to see where the rain is and where it's headed. So a lot of this, Alamance County, I'd say in the eastern parts of the counties, you're getting over closer to Orange and Durham counties. That's where we're seeing some of the heavier thunderstorms. Also in the mountains, along the mountains, as our winds come in out of the southwest, we're seeing the winds lift along the mountains and cause those thunderstorms. So they are widely scattered. Watch out for that. Elevated rain chances, 50%, 60% for Thursday, Friday, but then we're back to a normal 30 to 40 every day in our 7-day, upper 80s for highs.
All right, so here's the question. How do you plan your day? Folks at home, of course, you can chime in on Facebook. But Maddie, you strike me as a person who would have a day planner.
You know it. I have a couple of day planners, and it's color coordinated and organized.
I don't doubt any of these things. Okay, what would you do without your day planner?
Oh, well, right now I'd be fine because I have zero plans, but I do like to keep up with stories I cover in a day or just maybe what happened. It's kind of like a diary.
So you still use it?
Yes.
Okay, she still uses it. All right, so the reason why we're talking about how do you plan your day, and that's because Guilford County Schools, of course, decided on 9 weeks of remote learning. And to help answer questions about, hey, what does a typical school day look like? They put out this day in the life of Denise. That's the student, okay? It starts around 8 a.m. It takes a few breaks. There's a lunch break. There's at least 2 walk or activity times. And there have about 4 hours of instruction time before the end of the day around 2 o'clock. Superintendent Dr. Sharon Contreras says extending the remote learning weeks from 5 until 9 was really needed.
We need more time to plan, and we don't know another district of a comparable size in the nation that has figured it out.
Okay, so there's still lots of questions, right? We're talking with Guilford County school leaders and we're asking them your questions. So this is what we want you to do. We want you to text those questions to us. You see the number down at the bottom of your screen. The number is there on this screen as well, 336-379-5775. We're going to get through as many of your questions as we can from 5:30 until 6 o'clock tonight. We'll be right back.
Okay, good. All right, what am I talking about? Oh, I'm talking about how to handle situations when you have no control over them. It's easier than you think.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5. Many parents are reacting to the Guilford County Schools decision that the school year will start with remote learning for the first 9 weeks. Now, some agree with the decision, of course, others don't. So how do you handle situations when decisions are made that impact you directly, but they're out of your control? Our own Blanca Cobb is here to talk about this. Blanca, I assume that people start to feel stuck when they're dealing with these types of situations.
They do, Maddie, and the reason is because they ruminate. So what that means is they're obsessive and they think over and over about the situation and they don't let it go. Like, why did this happen? Or what if this happened? They do all these what ifs, but it doesn't really get anywhere because you're still just continuing spinning and spinning. So what happens is the more they think about it, the worse they feel because they're like, oh, this is out of my control. What do I do? Sometimes people will actually feel powerless, and that isn't necessarily the case. And also they feel icky. They might start experiencing some depression or anxiety as a result because they can't let it go.
That's really interesting, Blanca. Of course, we want to feel better if we're stuck in that situation. What tips do you have for that?
You have to take action. Don't think about what you can't control, because right now you can't do anything to change the decision. But what can you control? So if we use the example of, let's say, parents who aren't in the agreement of the remote learning for the first part of the school year, because they already got a flavor of it in the spring, that's the time to really break down the situation. What worked and what didn't work? What can you do about it? So if it is balancing their work schedule with helping their children, what might they do? How might it look? The thing is, they have to be very flexible in your thinking. And the reason you want to be flexible, because if something happens in this new plan, you want to be able to pivot, go in a different direction, but also adapt to it rather quickly.
Yeah, flexibility has been key throughout this entire pandemic, so we got to keep that up. So Blanca, when I'm going through something, I may be struggling with the decision, I tend to talk to somebody else about it because they offer, I guess, a new perspective. That usually helps me. But in this situation, does it help?
It does, Maddie, and I'm really glad that you bring that up. Yes, but the key is picking the right person to help you. You don't want somebody who is only going to be empathetic. You need someone who's going to look at the situation in a different way, who's going to be objective and rational. The reason you want a different perspective is because perhaps they're going to look at it and provide some solutions that you haven't even thought of yet. And that's why it's very critical. And if you can't talk to somebody, but you have somebody in mind, you can say, well, how would so-and-so think about the situation? Like, for example, maybe you just can't get a hold of your mom, you can't get a hold of your partner right away. Just how would they answer the question? What would they think? And that would help you also.
Kind of get in their mindset and evaluate it from there. Blanca, very interesting discussion today. Thank you for your insight. If you missed any of that, by the way, we have it for you on our website. We'll be right back.
How about now? Check 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that better? Lovely.
Hi there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hello, hello.
All right, here's your official Tech Geek Alert. Geek Alert, pay close attention here. So I posted on Facebook the other day how I was able to get an old rotary phone, believe it or not, you can still find those, to work through my smartphone. I just thought people would just say, dork, and they did. But I was shocked at how many people actually wanted to know, how does this work? So here you go. So So here's how you do it. First of all, of course, you got to find a cool old phone. I went online on eBay and I found this. I've been wanting one of these for a long time, just like the old 1960s, 70s type phone. This one was a 1969 Western Electric. So the guy said it worked, and I'm like, how does it work? I don't even have a landline anymore. But I went online, I did some research, and here's what you have to do. Now, this one had a strange plug. Maybe some of you are used to this. I've never seen that before. Mine that I grew up with just had that little thing. But I had to buy the adapter, which was like almost $10. These phones on eBay, anywhere from 40 to 80, just depends on what kind of quality you get. But here's the key. I found this thing. This is the X-Link Bluetooth gateway, and it actually has a little plug on the side to allow for a phone. So what you do is you plug this in, of course, so it has power. You push the button on the top. When you push the button on the top, that creates a Bluetooth network. Then you have to take your phone, of course, and you sync your phone to that network. So now you are hooked up, right? You are all hooked up and ready to go. Once you get it synced and hooked up, then you just have to take the cord and you plug it in. So your phone is literally connected to the Bluetooth network. Now, theoretically, you should be able to make phone calls using your cell phone, but through the rotary phone. So there it goes. I actually hear the old school ringing in there. See? Hang on. There you go. You can make and receive calls. When someone calls your cell phone, this phone will ring. That's how you make an old rotary phone work with your cell phone. All right, so I asked you on Facebook, what old technology would you like to see again, or something that you miss? Here's what you had to say. MD Moore said, I'd love to see a big old huge Saturn rocket take off again. Mark Scarpa said, a ditto machine, as he sniffs the paper. Those of you old enough to remember, that's also called a mimeograph machine. And then Melissa Storms here says, cassette tapes. The recording was awesome. You could do so much with them. She liked to record off the radio, a favorite song, and also hear that little squarble sound whenever you rewind the tape there. So lots of people missing different things. I will agree with Mark, who said mimeograph machines. When I was a kid, I used to always volunteer to go to the office to make copies like we had to, because they smelled so good.
Yes, my friend and I were just talking about the other day trying to find a song on the radio and record it onto a cassette tape, and then you can make your own like mixtape, right? That's where mixtape comes from. It's not a Spotify playlist.
Yes, I actually have very fond memories of doing that with my cousins. We would all crowd around and we're like, okay, it's coming on, it's coming on. And then we would miss the first 5 seconds of the song. We would have to wait for the next 2 hours for the radio station to play it again so that we could listen to it. But I just love doing that. I wouldn't mind seeing a cassette tape be the thing again.
Do I miss it? But it's fun memories.
Yeah, it'd be fun to play around with it. I don't think I'd actually listen to music with it, but yes. Yeah, that's right. That's a novelty. Very true. All right, let's go to our forecast. I want you to see the whole ball of wax here. We'll go right to the 7-day. And it's kind of same old for temperatures. 87 to 89. That's the small range of high temperatures for the whole week. And overnight lows are pretty much 70 to about 72. So no real change there. But rain chances, they're all late day normal, but it's a 50 to 60%, a little elevated Thursday, Friday. Back to normal, 30 to 40% chance every afternoon, Saturday, Sunday, and through the first half of next week.
Coming up on WFMY News 2 at 5 o'clock, restaurants and breweries will no longer be able to sell alcohol after 11 p.m. Governor Roy Cooper's statewide curfew starts on Friday. Triad business owners react to this new rule next on WFMY News 2 at 5 o'clock. Hi there, 1, 2, 3. You forgot about recording off the radio. You have to tell everyone to be quiet, or else you're going to hear ambient noise.
Hello, mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
shutdown of bars and restaurants due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Hi there, Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California.
Sweet. Hello, mic check 1 2 3 4. Good evening, everybody. Mic check 1.
For my 2 cents. Since the pandemic started, life as we knew it changed. In the beginning, we were told to stay home as much as possible. Many businesses closed. And for me, that meant the opportunity to save money because I couldn't go to some of the places I spent the most money at, like the gym or various retail stores. So staying home really caused me to take a hard look at my spending habits. And what I found was that I was spending my money on nonsense. Things I could live without or definitely cut back on. And it was great. Keyword was. I managed to pay off my credit card debt, which is a blessing, but now I'm finding myself itching to shop online. And I've given in to the urge a little more than I should. And as it turns out, I'm not alone. Amazon has seen record sales over the last few months, so clearly people are filling their carts. And just the other day, I received a few Amazon purchases. So hard to say no to Prime shipping, right? But the question is, why are we shopping so much? One expert says, in the midst of chaos, shopping can give you something fun to do. Another says it can be a form of control. Plus, it makes us feel good, right? Hello, retail therapy. But I'm going to say it out loud so I can be held accountable. I'm going to make a conscious effort now to have this thought before I buy something. Will I still be as excited about this purchase a few months down the line? If not, X out of the screen. That's my 2 cents and your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts right now. We are following some breaking news right now. The Atlantic Coast Conference has announced its plans for fall sports and fall football and Olympic sports.
As you know, Wake Forest, UNC, NC State, and Duke all play in the ACC. The season's first games and matches will take place the week of September 7th if public health guidance allows. ACC Commissioner John Swofford released a statement saying, quote, "Our institutions are committed to taking the necessary measures to facilitate the return in a safe and responsible manner. We recognize that we may need to be nimble and make adjustments in the future. We will be as prepared as possible should that need arise." We'll have more details about this on our website on WFMYnews2.com.
Three big stories this evening, all with one root problem, the coronavirus pandemic. Businesses are scrambling after being told they cannot serve alcohol after 11 p.m. Guilford County parents want answers after finding out students will remote learn for the first 9 weeks. And the state fair canceled for the first time since World War II.
We have a lot to get to right now, but first, Governor Roy Cooper says he is curbing alcohol sales to help stop the spread of COVID-19.